More Facebook fun stories. What
Yeah.
I want to say about this headline is I think it's misleading out of context. Facebook responsible for 94% of 69 million child sex abuse images reported by US tech firms. And I think you
Mm,
could read that two ways. This is an article from Sky News by Tom Gillespie just a couple days ago and here in October. Oh no, actually from a year ago. What are we doing? Why don't I pay attention to the dates on these stories? At any rate, the point stands. I'm sticking with it. Uh,
yeah, it's an interesting topic.
so you could read that and say Facebook is responsible for 94% of the images. But what the article is actually saying is Facebook is responsible for 94% of the reports,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
you could say sounds good. Part of the concern in the article, I think, was about the implementing end-to-end encryption. Is that people are concerned about end-to-end encryption, and it would hide this abusive material more from Facebook, so they wouldn't be able to report as much. And I guess, and think this is something that we've talked about a couple times. We talked about it with the Apple story. They were going to release
Yeah.
some capability to scan your libraries on your phone for CSAM materials. I know that's redundant. And there was outrage against that. They delayed it. So here again, like, you don't want to fall in the do it for the children trap, but at the same time, there's some
Okay.
benefit to this.
So when I was looking through this article, first of all, it's definitely a sensationalist headline, and I don't believe that it's representative of what's really going on. And not just because I think that Facebook are much better than they really are. It's just because I have a bit of inside information into this particular horrible area of the industry, and the stats that I've seen haven't put Facebook at the top, like at least not by that margin. Different organizations report the stats differently, but the number one source of this kind of material online is self-generated, and it's applications like uh, uh, TikTok or Instagram or the WhatsApp, and it's stuff like that. It's where a kid is persuaded to do something on a video chat and they get recorded. That is the number one source of this kind of information. And Facebook is definitely a big part of it. And social media and the different messaging platforms are part of it. And they can do so much more to help prevent it, including education, better reporting tools, bigger teams, because there's the actual humans dealing with this on the end is minuscule number of people compared to their overall staff, and it's but I think this particular article, there were two things about it is kind of misleading. The first thing is that 94% is not right. It's not going to be that long. I think it's definitely a deliberate misinterpretation or a deliberate misrepresentation of what's going on. You're right. It's probably the reported the US firms which have reported that were surveyed, something like that. The other thing is it's got a picture of Priti Patel later on down in the article, who's a UK politician who, if I see her face, I'm like, no, this is rubbish.
I'm
Don't listen
moving
to
for it. There we go.
There she is. The UK Home Secretary, and she is so anti-immigrant in just a ridiculous way, in the kind of like build the wall type way, in England, where there's people crossing the border, the channel and stuff, but I have such a visceral reaction to this woman, and I mean, I'm not exactly sure where her grandparents were from, but I don't think it was the UK, and it's so hypocritical that it. Anyway, so seeing her face as being quoted in this article makes me think, well, it's like seeing an article from the Daily Mail or something.
Hit against the article as a whole. So
Yeah.
she was a signatory to a letter calling for an end to this.
An end-to-end encryption. An
Right.
end-to-end encryption.
Well, probably calling for end-to-end encryption.
No,
No,
she's
against it, because that would cover up the problem.
Right. So
Right.
it's an end to
End-to-end encryption.
end
Right.
encryption.
Which is so where end-to-end encryption. I assume that
Yeah.
you would say you're all for it from a
On
privacy
balance,
standpoint.
yeah. And on balance, yeah, it is tricky though because it does hide bad things. But it exists already, and bad people will use it if they need to. So like the mafia and terrorists and whatever. For this particular for the CSAM, it's much more nuanced, I think, because kids are going to use it by default and they're not going to know that it's end-to-end encrypted. But I don't think that having a backdoor into the communication channel is going to fix it either.
Mm-hmm.
I think it will. For one thing, there has never been a case of the police or law enforcement having access to a backdoor and it not being abused by them ever. Like it's almost instantly like abused. And the second thing is that the scale of the monitoring that they had to implement would be just crazy to be able to actually catch this sort of stuff. They would need, what they should do is start with education. Like the IWF are doing this. They have a really good, the IWF have their heads screwed on. They have educational programs. They're putting out videos. They're trying to reach younger audiences. They're educating people about how, like the kind of stranger danger programs from back when we were still kids. I don't know if you ever had that.
Yeah, I was trying to. I remember the what's that called? I can picture like the black and red signs. I don't remember the name of it.
But yeah, it does help, this kind of education. It's a bit fluffy and it's hard to measure, but it does, and it's difficult to see the effects until a long time afterwards as well. But it's yeah, I'm not the most eloquent on this.
And I think this is the tie-in with Priti Patel. Is it's easy to get outraged over, and it's easy to get people riled up over. And it strikes me, the tone of the letter that was submitted strikes me very much as just like a way to like get people riled up and say, I'm fighting for you against these terrible tech companies.
Yeah.
And there are problems. I am no fan of social media. Like, I totally get it. The politics around it almost definitely does upset me more.
It's going to work though. There is always going to be a bunch of people who see this and go, yes, let the police deal with it. And they'll get votes because of it. It's a political thing. It is absolutely a political thing. She's not doing this because she truly believes it, I think. She's just doing it to get votes.
I mean, who even knows? It's also easier to get upset and bluster and get people riled up than to actually try to solve the problem.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, that's probably what we should do. Is we should make some outrageous statements in the show, like just like, do you know what we should do about women? Is get them.
Keep going.
I'm gonna get.
Keep going. Where's the power through? Where's this going?
We should make.
Oh, we're out of time, Peter. Sorry, we're gonna have to wrap this segment up.
We're gonna no. Wait.
Oh, you're gonna force me to let you do this? Okay, I got it.
I'm gonna do this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What we should do about women is make them all leaders of the country.
Okay, nice twist.
So and see how they like it.
I don't know if you'd get the same outrage, but okay.
I don't know what to say. I don't know. The problem is that coming up with something so crazy is like, I don't want to say like there's 5G chips in vaccines, right, or something new that's crazy, or what was it?
I think you mean obviously true.
Yeah, sorry. The problem is that whenever I think of something so crazy, I then think, no, that's just clearly rubbish.
There's already something worse out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just not a good conspiracy theorist. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, read more American news.
The whole Q thing really confuses me. I like, and I seen an interview with a guy who actually is an ex QAnon guy, and it was with a famous American reporter, and it was that reporter that actually interviewed him. And the guy was saying, I really thought that you drank the blood of babies. And the guy's like going, did you really? And he's like, yeah, because Q told us that. And
Yeah.
it just, I don't get it. I understand that some people might some like extreme part of society might get there,
Yeah.
but enough to be like on the news.
Yeah, there are a couple of Q documentaries out. I think there's one on Facebook. I think there's one on maybe Apple Plus. And same thing. Like I watched that and I was like, man, these people like really believe this. And
I did see a really, yeah, sorry.
No, I get just that for a long time I thought like and this is always the question, like, do you really believe it or are you just being a jerk or like what? And to some extent I thought it was kind of like rooting for a sports team where you'll just say my team is the best no matter what, even if they're objectively not the best.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. Like maybe you know that, but you're just gonna say it.
Yeah.
So that was always my question. Like, do you know it's not true and you're just saying it, or are you saying it because you really think it's true? And watching some of those documentaries made me think like, oh yeah, they just really think it's true.
There's definitely an element of that. I think there's multiple segments of these groups that kind of make it up. So there's the people who are the hardcore true believers. Then there's the people who are kind of profiting from the whole thing, who don't really believe it, but just like push it in every way they can and use every kind of manipulation that they can. Then they're good at that sort of thing. And then there's the people who are like, just don't really think about it and go along with it. And those people, when they get confronted by like obvious facts, that's when they start to stumble, and then they just fall back on the mantra that they've been repeating for so long.
Like, I don't know. I guess it's just true.
Yeah, well, no, yeah, that's exactly how it's like Jordan Klepper doing interviews with the MAGA crowd, and he's asking them, but that he's like this, and he said that, and they're like, you can see this sort of like their brain rebooting for a second, and then it's like, but Trump told us, it's sort of, okay, right, you're not going to win there, are you?
Somebody shared a video of it was a woman saying, why should we get vaccinated just because your vaccine doesn't work? But that's not the question. Like, that's not why you should get vaccinated. Like, if that's literally your question, the answer is no, you shouldn't. But that's not the question. Like, what are you even talking about? Do you not understand how it works? Like, but they don't. Whatever. We are losing. So we will not have any anti-vaxxers in our audience. Sorry, guys.
I think that's fine. I'm okay with
that. Good segment. We are breaking things up. We probably won't have to say that every time, but like and subscribe to the videos. And
make it cool.
Check out the next one.
Hair on your chest if you're a guy and you like hair. I don't know. I went wrong with that straight off as soon as I said it. Cut that out. Cut.
Okay.